Hello and welcome to our podcast, The Spiritual Hour. My name is Gina,
And I'm Anna.
and welcome to our podcast today. Today we'll be talking about the nervous system and it being more introductory, of course. So if you're new to it, this is perfect for you. And even if you know, we'll be sharing, um, I guess, I guess a recipe or something, recipes, like for
Mm-hmm.
basically herbal remedies for to help regulate your nervous system. I
Yep.
don't know why it's so hard for me to say. So to get
No,
her say,
yeah, I have a couple drink recipes that I like to do. And then also some stuff for aromatherapy as well. So essential oils.
yes, and that's very big. And so the card we have here today is surrender. I can release my
Mhm.
need to control. And so I guess to a certain degree, nervous system regulation is about releasing control as much as it is about becoming more back into control. But I would say overall it's very neutral. So yeah, I guess we can just hop right into it.
Cool. All right. So the nervous system does a lot of different things. I wrote some notes. It basically transmits like signals from the brain to the rest of the body, including the organs, and it controls the ability to move. So your motor functions, breath, your sight, your cognitive functions. So like thinking and like brain activity. Um, it also helps with remembering, thinking, and feeling emotions as well as how to process them and how to process the emotion that you're feeling but also like have an appropriate response. So if you've ever noticed that like sometimes when you're having a little bit of like an anxious like mood or you're a little bit in a more excitable state, sometimes, if something is said to you, you take it in a way that wasn't intended, and your reaction to it doesn't really align with like what was said. So that's kind of something that it oversees, which is very interesting. I didn't know that, but it makes a lot of sense. It also controls brain growth and development. So that's just like very basic on the nervous system. So brain function and development, um, your breath, your ability to move, sight, and your like cognitive function. So your thinking ability, your comprehension, and like even like your retention of what you're trying to read or what you're trying to like ingest in a like a informative format. So you ever have like those times where it's just like your brain is like foggy, nothing's connecting, words aren't, wording, things aren't coming out the way it's supposed to. It's possible that like your nervous system is a little bit in an excitable state. And there's a term that I saw. So this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but this is one of the things that I know is a way to like kind of like control your nerves and like get them out of that like excitation. Yeah, get them out of like an excitation state. I don't know if I said that correctly, but right, I think that's a word. Um, but to get out of that like excitable state, magnesium is a really good way to kind of like counteract that. And basically, one of the essential functions of magnesium is that it's optimal for nerve transmission and neuromuscular condition, as well as serving to protect against excitotoxicity, which is excessive excitation, is a word, leading to cell death. So it does that, which I find very important.
Mm,
And basically, like your stress levels, if your cells themselves are in an excitable state, then that's what's going to cause your nervous system to kind of like work double. And I was also reading that that leads to anxious disorders, and it can also what's the word I'm looking for, it can also exacerbate any anxiety you might already have, as well as like putting you in like a depressive state. So very, very interesting. And a lot of people do tend to have like a magnesium deficiency, um and so it's important to like get that supplement or like get that vitamin, so like it kind of like goes in and like regulates your system. So that's, I have more, but I'll let you go.
mm. Yeah, I love how grounded that was in science, basically. I love starting off with a more concrete understanding because I think that really helps with working with it from a more
Mhm.
practical level. And also just to have an understanding of that. So very cool. And yeah, you know, you know how important it is from like I guess an abstract point of view, but yeah, it controls like I don't know your organs. It controls like literally everything that you do. This nervous system that
Mhm.
we have. So like it's really such an important part for us to like analyze.
Mhm.
Yes. I also know that we have different parts of the nervous system. I didn't write any notes, but she did that for me. But I know that there is the parasympathetic portion of the
Mhm.
nervous system and the sympathetic, and the parasympathetic is the quote rest and digest. So the more like quiet, and if you want to do it esoterically, that could be conceptualized as the feminine energy. And then we have the sympathetic, and that would be the more fight or flight. And that's where a lot of like of our, I mean, I think both are impacted, but especially the fight or flight is really, really impacted by excitability. I don't know what word you use. You said excitation or something like
Mhm.
that. I'm like, oh my God, a new word. I love it. Now I learn new words. But yes, the excitation, and that definitely is, the more masculine energy that we have. And so, yeah, learning how to, or I would say even the word experiencing how to regulate ourselves is more powerful versus learning, because it's really the nervous system is really an experience, because I think it's very confrontational of what's actually there versus what you think is there. And it's always going to be very, very honest with you. So, like, you were saying something about, I think, anxiety and like
Mhm.
how cells like can be more anxious due to certain stressors or something like that. Um, and so, yeah, it's just cool how the concept of what you were saying can definitely be seen and translated, into actual life and how we again experience the nervous system. And
Mhm.
I also know that for me, when I think of nervous system, I automatically think of the mother, because, we were inside of her womb, and essentially she's the first person that we have that co-regulation experience with, um, and especially outside of the womb as well. Um, but yeah, I think about that and how that really has a certain imprint within us, and how
Mhm.
working with that imprint could be, is I think important for everyone, but more important for certain individuals. And I would love to see science actually explore more of an abstract idea, but I have no doubt at all, actually, about the impact of the co-regulation with our parental figures, but the mother in particular, because the father is very important too, and we also co-regulate there as well. siblings, family in general. But I think the mother
Mhm.
is extra important. And
Mhm.
our first experiences with learning how to or experiencing, I guess the word doesn't really matter, but I like the word experience better because experience, you're like, okay, I'm accepting what's happening and I'm trying to like, understand it.
Mhm.
So, I
Exactly.
like experiencing, but yeah, she impacts our like first real experience with learning, experiencing how to, be with ourselves. Um, and yeah,
Especially
so
because whatever state the mom is in is like what we're gonna get. Which is why they
mhm,
try to tell people like don't add any stress to, an expecting mother. Don't give them, anything that's gonna increase their stress level. As you want them as relaxed as possible because like we feel everything in the room. Not only are we getting our nutrients and like, our food from them, but it's like we're picking up on like things around us. Like we can hear, we hear everything in the room. So it's just like we're inundated with a lot of stuff and like we don't have that filter yet. So like our mom has to be that filter. And if she's doing her job like well, then like we're a little shielded. And if not, then like we pick up on things before we even actually arrive, which is crazy. But
mhm.
yeah. Um, but
So
there
let's
are.
you go.
Go ahead.
No, you.
I was just gonna say, but there are ways to kind of like combat that and kind of ease your nervous system a little bit. I think that's probably what you're gonna say next.
Yeah,
Something
about
different.
some ways to. Well, I was actually going to ask about any experiences of fight or flight that you may have had that, in a more, I guess, dysregulated state, maybe is the right word to say there. But I just wanted to see any experiences that you would like to share and maybe
No,
something that you've done.
I'm anxious all the time.
Mhm.
No, it's gotten honestly a lot better, but like yeah, I remember when I was younger, probably from about 10 to maybe about like 22, I was like the most anxious. So for like a good like 12 years, I was just like, oh my God, anxiety all the time. Like I always just felt like irritable. And then part of me was like, well, it could be, hormonal because like you go through like a whole bunch of changes from, 10 years old to like young adult, like young woman. So it's just like you have your period, your different hormones are increasing.
Your
Just
boobs.
yeah, yeah, so I'm just like there's a whole host of things and like I just feel things a little bit deeply, maybe not more than other people, but like I take on a lot. So learning to like not do that and to like navigate and be like, okay, I need to like chill and relax. Now I'm fine. Now really the only time that I get like excitable like externally is because or I guess internally is because I drink coffee. That's honestly that's the only time. And then even then it's just kind of like, okay, I know why this is happening. I drink coffee. Like right now, I had coffee this morning because I had like 4 people today. So I'm just like, you know what? And they're back to back. It's like, I need like an extra little pick me up. I woke up a little tired today. Let's get some coffee in me. And I honestly should have just had like tea or made myself like my magnesium drink. I didn't. I didn't feel like doing all that. So it's just like we're just gonna go get some coffee and like I'm gonna be good. And like I'm still feeling the effects of it. I'm still just like, oh, a little not jittery, but definitely a little bit heightened. And like I don't really want to be heightened right now. I want to kind of like relax. Um, but the best way that I kind of got out of that like anxious state during those times was I was really heavy into like meditating and like breath work for like a while. And then I would stay away from certain things that I noticed would like raise those levels for me. So like I didn't drink coffee for like a very long time. Um, if I did have like a drink, I would do like tea or something, and like tea that didn't have caffeine in it. So I stayed away from black tea for a while. Um, and then I would just try to like move, not necessarily work out, but like do like a series of stretches, kind of like get the blood flow, back into everywhere. Breathing is really good to oxygenate your blood, and then just make you feel lightheaded, but like in a good way, like clear your head a little bit. So I was doing that for a while, and then just kind of like realizing that a lot of the time the anxiousness that I would be feeling is because it was from things that like I didn't really deal with. So then I'm like, okay, you have to deal with it, or like it's just gonna keep coming up. So kind of like taking stock of like your emotional like well-being is like really important, especially because like just learning today, like while researching, that our nervous system controls our like feeling emotions. Had no idea, but it makes a lot of sense. So if you're in a state of like, if you're constantly putting yourself in an anxious state because like you haven't dealt with something in your past, like emotionally wise, it's going to keep recurring, and you're going to be quote unquote triggered by like certain things, either by a situation, by a person, or like verbally or whatever. So to like kind of like combat that, breath work is really good. At least for me, that's what I do. Meditation, just trying to sit with your feelings and like figure out one, if like you just happen to pick it up from someone else, because that happens. Even if you don't think that you're empathic, we all on some level have like a magnet where we get other people's emotions. I don't care if you don't believe that, but like it's true, because like we're all energy and we're constantly on like a feedback loop. So we're always picking up on like other people. That's how we know when like someone's upset. It's not always just because we saw their facial expression. Like you can literally feel it come off of them. Either they're mad or they're, sad or whatever it is, we can feel the emotion. And if you're picking it up and you're internalizing it and like making it your own when it really wasn't yours, but then taking someone else's emotion, like brings up your emotions and like the stuff that you haven't dealt with. So it's just like this giant weird circle, and it all f's up your nervous system because like it's stress. And like what is it? What's that hormone that you create when you're stressed? Cortisol. Like when you're in an excitable state, our body creates cortisol. And oh, where'd she go? What happened? Gina.
I'm here.
That was so weird. I
You're
was like,
saying when you're in the excitable state, the body creates cortisol.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's called the stress hormone, because like it gets created when we're stressed out. So we're creating a hormone that's stressing us out, and then that's not allowing our body to do the other things that it needs to do, like process your food that you just ate, getting an adequate amount of sleep at night. You're staying up because you're thinking about XYZ, as opposed to like giving your body a chance to start falling asleep and going into all the sleep cycles that you need to be in, and then that's why you wake up tired. So it's just the nervous system does a whole bunch, and it also gets affected by a whole bunch of things. That's
Yeah,
why.
it's like super hypersensitive, super sensitive. Because you were saying about how like people around you affect you, and literally it's like kind of like how we co-regulate with our mother, where well of course she's simply a bond that we have, so we also co-regulate with other people as well in our lives.
Mm-hmm,
And so
mm-hmm,
it is something that rules so much of our behavior, but definitely not something that's talked about heavily in school, you know.
Yeah.
But there's
Hmm.
also we have those things like birds of the same feather flock together. Of course, that's saying basically that the system is they're co-regulating their energies together. And I also
Yep.
know in human design, God, I'm also always talking about effing human design, but there's something called like penta human design or something like that. And it's basically like how 3 to 5 people's charts interact with each other. So again, there's just like this idea of, I guess, definitely like an individuality, like you were saying, like us being ourselves, but then like also like how we ping our light off of other people, essentially.
Hmm. Exactly. And like it's crazy because like if you think about like women, we sync up, like with our periods, which
We
is like,
totally freaking sync up, and it's people we don't even know. I'm like, who are
mhm,
you? I don't know you.
yep,
How is this happening at the
yep.
same time? What are the odds, you know?
Hmm. And it doesn't even take that long for it to happen. It's crazy. Like you could start a new job and then within like maybe a month, sometimes less, like synced up with like two women. I'm just like, I don't even know you. Why are we all on like the same week? The same week and then the same day? I don't even understand the science behind that one. I
Hmm.
don't know why that's a thing. And I remember seeing this thing though where I read this article like years ago, maybe like 5 years ago, where it said that wasn't true that we don't sync up with other women. And I'm just like,
That's
just
not my experience.
anecdotally wise, I'm like, I call BS because I've had way too many jobs where I've synced up with almost every female coworker I've ever worked with. And like to the point where like all of us within a week, within like a couple of days of each other, are on our periods. So I'm just like, I don't know what the point of that article was, why even, be like, oh, that's not true, or whatever. But I call BS because I don't know, man. I be singing it with everybody. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And it's just it's really interesting to see how the female body works, I suppose. Um,
to say the least, very
mhm.
interesting. Let's see. So the next thing that
I
I
want to
want
know
to talk
more.
about.
Hold on, can you like restate the first like what the nervous system controls again?
Oh yes. So the nervous system, its main function is that it transmits signals between the brain and the rest of the body, including internal organs. Um, and then I said
Yeah,
it
you
better
know.
the first time. What happened? Hello? Oh no.
Yeah,
Gina. Okay, there you go. What happened? What'd you say?
you
Now
were
I can't
saying
hear you. Oh wait, there you are. Wait, start over. What'd you say?
because you were
Your
saying
audio cut out.
how it controls.
Oh, come on. Okay, there you go.
That. Okay, let's take 3. Okay, so you were saying how the brain controls the body essentially, and it was just interesting to me because I was wondering, if someone who is, brain dead would be able to still live, and turns out no. I don't know. It was just very, very interesting to me as I was doing some previous research, nothing on this topic per se, but
That's interesting. But I guess that makes sense. Hello? Wait, I can't hear you.
never. Let's just keep going. Keep going. Like you're not supposed to be talking right now. It's like shut up, Gino. Let her talk.
I know because I was like, wait, is it me? But like my bars are fine, but your bars are like doing this. I'm like, oh no. Um,
Like off
but
topic. Off topic.
but yeah, so one of the major roles that the nervous system plays is that it controls everyday activities such as waking up, are automatic activities such as breathing and complex processes such as thinking, reading, remembering, and feeling emotions. Um,
Okay.
it also controls brain development, brain growth, and development, which kind of goes back to what you were saying about like us being in our mother's womb and how she helps us to co-regulate ourselves. So if like her nervous system is jacked, then like I can only imagine like what's gonna, happen to baby like while it's in there. So that's a whole
Mhm.
other topic
Yeah,
of like I
pregnant
even
women.
bought like hmm?
I was saying pregnant women are just so vulnerable. Like it's like such a strong container, obviously, but just so vulnerable. And I don't think we really conceptualize and or understand, that state really. Like we see it and we understand that but it's just such a spiritual, emotional,
Oh no.
you can keep going.
It's like, be quiet, Gina. No more.
This is Almost show today.
The next thing that I wanted to talk about was essential oils.
Mm,
Um, I love essential oils. I love aromatherapy. I think it's great. And it's one of the things that like can help regulate your system. I even found from the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development. I just quickly like wrote some notes about it. Um, and so basically, this article that they had was talking about like the essential functions of essential oils, how essential oils started. They're like super ancient. They've been around for literally millennia. Um, and the ancient like Romans used it a lot to the point where they called essential oil quinta. I don't know if I said that right, but quinta essentia, which in Latin means the fifth element. I had no idea, but apparently it means the fifth element, and the fifth element in ancient Roman like terms, how they describe it is the spirit or life force integrated with the other four elements: fire, air, earth, and water. And the isolation of the essential oil was thought to be the process of removing the spirit from the plant, and the oils being used as healing essences with medical benefits. So I thought that was really cool, basically acknowledging that like plants have a spirit and they're basically synthesizing or what's the word, alchemizing the spirit of the plant, taking the essence so we're able to use it for, health benefits. And I thought that was amazing. I've never heard of that before, um, but really cool. And then it goes on to say that, like, which is really interesting because, like, the way, this is on, like, somewhat of a credible, like, medical, um, website. And I remember, like, a few years ago, like, the lambasting of like essential oils was like everywhere. All these different doctors were coming out saying that like they have no basis. It's a bunch of like hocus pocus, essentially. Like, don't use them, especially don't ingest them, don't use them topically, like just, you know don't do anything with them, just leave them alone, essentially, right? But this one kind of goes into like the varying effects that essential oils have on the nervous system in particular. And the best way that they were saying to like get these effects, there's three, four different ways. But the best way out of those ways is inhalation. So breathing it in. Apparently, when you breathe in through the olfactory system, it's the fastest and easiest method for the essential oils benefit to take effect within your body. I don't know why that is, because I would assume like usually blood, like what's the word I'm looking for? Um Usually like your blood system is like the fastest way to like get something into your system, but I'm assuming for this it's better to like breathe it in, because like it probably, I don't know how it goes, but it goes up your nose, and then I don't know, maybe if it like hits like a cortex or something in your brain and like it gets distributed a lot faster or whatever. But apparently, it was reported that essential oils affect the immediate changes in the autonomic nervous system and physiological responses such as pupil dilation, blood pressure, muscle tone, pulse rate, skin temperature, and brain activity. These body responses improve physical, mental, and emotional well being after 15 minutes of inhalation. So it works pretty quickly. They even break it down and go into like different essential oils that like do different like functions. Like lavender is one of the best ones for relaxation. Um, and they were looking at it and saying that, where is it? And saying that lavender is what's the word? Anxiolytic, which basically means that like it is a
You have all the new words today.
I know, I'm coming with it today. I was prepared. Um lavender is, and it has lavender has an anxiolytic benefit to it, which basically means that like it relieves any stress or tension in the body that you might be feeling. um And then hold on, where's that other thing? Um, and then not only that, it causes the stimulation of the olfactory nerves and transmission of a signal to the central nervous system. So, which I guess calms down everything else. So it goes into the nervous system, but then as yeah, it goes into the nervous system, and by doing that, all other systems are then calmed down and like relieved of like any anxious like activity in your cells, which is crazy. So essential oils are great. And then I have a short list of like the essential oils that are like best for relaxation. Um, lavender, chamomile, uh,
There's a
balsam.
chamomile essential oil.
Mhm.
Huh? You know.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. I like it.
Oh, can you use it?
hmm Yeah, I have Roman chamomile, and that one's my favorite. There's another one, but I like the way that this one smells better than the other one. But yes, lavender, chamomile, and then you have rosemary. Kind of has that effect, but lavender, chamomile, and balsam copaiba, and also like juniper berry. Girl, I know I have that one too. And like juniper berry are the best for those for like relaxation. And then so I would recommend to our watchers, our viewers, getting like a diffuser and essential oil diffuser, and just getting some essential oils and like putting some drops in some water and like diffusing it throughout the day. That's
Do
what I
you
do.
notice,
Hmm?
do you notice a difference in quality versus brands or
Yes.
different
I
brands?
personally like, because the thing is that like with essential oils you have to be pretty cautious of like where you're getting them from, because a lot of the times through like the distillation of the plants and getting it into like an oil, they'll add things to that process and then like a synthetic, like what is it? Oh crap. It's like like they'll add like a synthetic oil to basically stretch out the oil that's coming from the plant, because like a lot of the times like these plants can like be expensive, and like the distillation process can be expensive and like not yield a lot of product. So they'll put in like a synthetic oil to like give it not to last longer but also to last longer, but to give you more like of a yield from the product. So like I don't buy any oils from like CVS, because like usually those are the ones that like will have like synthetic oils in it. um I know everyone loves doTERRA and Young Living. I personally don't. I feel like they're way overpriced for what they give you. Now, their distillation process, I will admit, is pretty good. They don't add any like extra chemicals to their stuff, so I can appreciate that. But I'm not gonna pay freaking like $20 for a 5 milliliter bottle like this big of lavender. I think that's crazy. So I used Eden's Garden for my product that I make myself and like that I sell. And then like that's what I use for my personal use as well. Because they're not crazy expensive. For some of their things they are, but that's only because now they're using a new system of how to like distill, and it's only certain ones that they're doing it for. And they're doing like a carbon distillation process, which is interesting because I guess like it's a lot cleaner, and you don't get like plant resin like in the product, which is pretty cool. So like those are a little bit expensive but still kind of worth it in my opinion, and I do notice a difference in the oils. But those are the oils that I get, and I like them. So I would recommend definitely getting some essential oils. And like there's different categories, or yeah, like different categories that like you can um get oils for. Like if you need something for like sleep, then lavender, chamomile, eucalyptus, um the balsam copaiba. And then like if you need something to like wake up like in the morning, basically anything citrus. Peppermint works as well. um Rose is another good one that kind of like balances you out. And then if you there's just so many different ones. So many different ones. There's like oils for like pain relief. Lavender is also another good one. There's oils for like antiseptic. That's tea tree oil. There's just so much. I could go on and on, but there's a lot of different oils for a lot of different things. Um, but my favorite ones to like regulate the nervous system would definitely be lavender and chamomile. And those two, I feel like, are the best because they allow you to sleep easier and like fall asleep, which helps your nervous system. If you're getting quality sleep, your cells and yourself won't be as, excitable. But yeah, those are the two that I would recommend to start off with.
Mm.
Yeah. I've just been
Oh, but
talking and talking.
I learned so much, and we'll keep talking, keep talking. Yeah, I learned so much. I did not know that chamomile was an oil. I'm like shocked. I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's a tea as well, but very, very cool. Um, yeah, I guess some other nervous system regulation techniques. Obviously, being outside is very, very helpful because you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
grounded in nature. And I
Yep.
feel particularly being outside at nighttime can be really beneficial. Um, for, I mean, it is kind of scary, honestly. That's the whole point, is like kind of being
Especially
scared,
where
but
you
knowing.
live, all that wooded area. Like I'd be like, someone's over there. I can't see it, but I know someone's over there.
Yeah, and yeah, I've been trying to get outside more at nighttime. And yeah, it's a little bit of an experience, but I think it's very grounding, and for me, I feel like it's really opening for my crown chakra. But
Mm.
obviously, it really just makes me feel at peace, and I think it helps wind me down a lot because I can be kind of wound up. Because you were saying about times you experience anxiety, and I know definitely, I think it's just being a sensitive person. I don't know if you identify as being a highly sensitive person or an empath, but I think that sometimes I can definitely feel emotions and situations and things, very deeply. So I found going outside at nighttime just to be, I don't know, extra cathartic. And I guess it's also more connecting with feminine energy if you want to get esoteric. I guess
Mm-hmm.
this is the spiritual podcast, but it's very unlike grounding in daytime. I almost feel like it's like taking a cold shower or something. Just very, very grounding. Oh, and
That
I guess
makes
also
sense.
cold showers too could be
What happened?
helpful. Cold showers, cold
Oh,
plunges could
mm-hmm.
be um, beneficial because it
Taps your
works with your
system.
fight. Yeah, and it works with your fight or flight
Mm-hmm.
response, calming you down. Because really, the whole purpose of regulating your nervous system is to be calm, yes, but it's also to be able to sit with discomfort in your body and knowing that eventually it'll move past. So yeah, and I guess we can also go over signs that you may need to regulate your nervous system as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just come. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say that it's interesting that you like to go outside at night to ground because I find that during the day is better for me because this is where like we're almost complete opposites and I find it like so cool because not only do you have like a Scorpio, like you're a Scorpio and like that deals with like the darker aspects of like things. it's it's
Mhm.
probably also that like you don't get charged from people, you get charged from like being alone, and I get charged, I think, mostly from people. Now, although I can be drained by people and I do need my alone time, but I feel like for me and like my personality and how my soul functions, I guess, like I like to be around people because I feel like it's so easy for me to like slip into like laziness and like a lethargic like well-being. So like I like to be outside during the day. I like it when there's sun. I like it when there's people around. Not a lot of people, but I like it when there's like a hustle and bustle kind of a thing cuz like I think I feed off of that a little bit more. So cuz like when you said at night, I was like, "Girl, no. I need to ground in the morning during the day." I was like, "That's weird."
For me, it's like just like a hug. It's like, oh, it's so
That's
grounding.
exactly how I feel about like going outside during the day. I'm like, hell yeah,
I mean,
like this is
it's the same way
amazing.
during the day, but I would say that for me, the the dark night sky is just completely, it's more natural to me, honestly. Even though,
It's
and I
because
love
you're,
school, by the way.
yeah, because
Yeah.
your Scorpio like connects with that like dark side of the moon, obscurity, void, sort of like the deep dark void.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh my god. But that's cool. I don't know if I could do that.
I mean, you have the beach right there. Go to the beach and like at
Oh
nighttime.
no,
It's
I
so
yeah,
cool.
it's nice. Yeah.
It's so
Usually on
cool.
like Saturday and Sunday mornings, like I'll have like a little breakfast and then like cuz I go to work and like it's like right there. I'm like a not even like a full block away from the beach. And I just go walk down, put my feet in the sand, walk back to work. That's great. That's nice.
Mhm. Yeah, I
It's
bet.
definitely a good way to ground because I get like the earth there, but also more importantly for me being a water sign, the water. Oh man, it's great. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
One thing about living in the mountains is we don't have beaches readily
Girl,
available.
I don't know how you do that as a water sign like that. Like I couldn't.
It's
I can't.
Yeah, it can be very challenging at times, but honestly, I found find it to be just super grounding, and by golly, it is a freaking sight. It's like kind of like living in a watercolor painting sometimes with how
Mm.
beautiful the mountains are just around you, like
The way you
walking.
always talk about where you live, I'm just like, I gotta visit because, like, I need to see this.
Yeah, it's
Like,
so
the
beautiful.
description, and then like my imagination like runs wild, and I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, like me going to Las Vegas and spending like maybe it was like 4 days there and then coming back, I'm like, holy moly, it's like a different
And
reality.
I know how
And
you feel about Vegas.
yeah, it was my skin was really happy, but I was just like the energy there, I could not ground. And another thing with nervous system regulation, grounding is a way to do that. And especially when you expand into your nervous system, particularly, I think you will see a lot of good benefits because yes, you can ground, but I think it's good to have intention around working with the nervous system specifically because it is a different component of yourself. Like, so chakras or breath work and things like that. I think all great ways to begin to like activate it. I said this similarly in a post I made, but I think that we should like you were saying, how you go on walks and stuff, like intentional walks around unwinding the nervous system, like
Hmm.
setting the basically is really what I'm getting at because I think intention will allow the energy just to flow in
A
that
little bit
specific
better, yeah.
area.
I agree because sometimes it's not enough to just do XYZ activity. You have to, one, be conscious of what you're doing and the reason what you're doing, why you're doing it, as well as like the how you're going to get it done. Yes, there you go.
Mhm.
And I think all those things are very important. And like, if you don't have the intention of like, I'm going on this walk to clear my mind, to clear everything, then it'll still work, but you've only done half of it, you know? And so like that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, you have to like sit with your emotions and like figure out, one, did this come from me? And two, if it did, is this something that I haven't dealt with in the past or whatever? Like, why does this keep coming up, you know? So,
Mhm.
and then as we learn, the nervous system controls how we feel our emotions and how we respond to
And
things.
that's so gnarly because it goes back to the mother. I think if you have a mother who is chronically like dysregulated, there's no way you're going to understand how to regulate your own emotions if you
Mhm.
don't properly, you know, begin to expand and unwind in that specific space. And so I feel that a lot of people go through life being dysregulated because we don't understand the importance, you know, again, about how bloody vulnerable, I'm sorry, but like really, really vulnerable women are during pregnancy and how that impacts the child, thus impacting the society as a whole,
Mhm.
you know, because it really impacts, I feel, how you show up. And, you know, I think I was going to say this, but I forgot, but now I remembered. I remember, like, well, I remember, but on Instagram, it was like it's kind of like at least in my space, it's this like topic or I don't want to say a trend, but kind of a trend to talk about it, you know? And at first I'm like, oh blah, you know, but
Mhm.
learning first the scientific facts behind it, like what you presented and just how like it controls damn near everything with the human body, and then knowing about the different parts of the nervous system, and again, how we are in these bodies, our consciousness are experiencing this body. So we kind of have to play along with the body. So when the body is unable to regulate itself, then our consciousness isn't really able to fully express itself. And I definitely know that this collective is pretty traumatized, I would say. And so yeah, it it puts a lot of things into perspective, I think, the nervous system and how like it's just a very, very powerful aspect of ourselves and definitely not something that we fully understand. At least me, I know I didn't definitely did not understand. Like I remember learning about this stuff in school, but just not really understanding how it literally impacts everything
Mhm.
and specifically with the parenting aspect as well, because not just the mother, the father as well, but I think the mother is like 60%, if we were to put a percentage on it, 60%, and the father would be like 40% of it as well. So
Mhm.
like those relationships just being super important, and how our nervous systems are even conceptualized, or
Mhm.
how it
'Cause
reacts basically.
when we learned about it, it was only from like a scientific, like this is what it does. It
And
controls
you
these
know,
functions.
and you would think that there would be some psychology behind it, because psychology is, very, very popular. I mean, it's
Mhm.
accepted to be like true, mainstream wise. I mean, and
Mhm.
so I just I'm a little bit shocked, I guess, at how scant the knowledge
Yeah,
was, and
I
just because
think
it's such an important
now.
part of ourselves.
Exactly. Like, I think now it is because while I was doing this research, like, I did see some things basically say that, like, if your nervous system is constantly overstimulated and your cells are excitable, that does lead to, that does lead to more anxious disorders. So
Hmm.
it is something that is now kind of like they're looking into. And then that article that I saw was from, there's two different ones. There's one from 2018, and then there's another one from 2023. So as far as like 2018, they've been for a few years they've been thinking about it, which is great. A lot of the times though, I feel like with science, it takes a while for it to catch up with more like esoteric, like spiritual things, because like when you think about it on a spiritual level, it only makes sense that if your nervous system is like effed up, it's gonna lead to like you being more anxious,
Hmm.
and then even vice versa. If you're more anxious as a person, then it's gonna lead to like your nervous system being effed up. So if you're getting like external things that are like putting you into overdrive and like you're not dealing with it, it taxes your nervous system. And if you're putting in internal things like coffee, these energy drinks, constantly
Oh,
doing stuff,
yes,
yeah, which are
those energy
not good
drinks.
for you,
Oh, disgusting.
yeah,
Yeah, Gatorade.
then internally, yeah, it's going to mess you up. So I think they're finally starting to like see a correlation with that. And now incorporating more like herbal medicine, more plant medicine when it comes to like essential oils and stuff. So, which I think is great because I'm like, why do we
Mhm.
have all this stuff if not to use it? Clearly our people before, our ancestors, millennia ago, knew that this stuff works. So why is it that when science, came out, then it was just like, oh well, we're just gonna forego all that and like pretend like we don't know anything. And then 20 years goes by and it's like, oh yeah, actually, by the way, this does help. I'm just like, yeah, well, we know. We've been trying
Mhm.
to tell you that.
Yeah.
Sometimes science is a little slow.
Yeah, and it's also, again, like with the essential oil portion, was really, really cool to hear how science is beginning to acknowledge how, yeah, the things we have on this earth, the physical plants that we have on this earth, can be used for medicinal purposes, and not strictly, but also to even complement, modern healthcare. And also
Mhm.
mention it as well, but the Romans, I think you said, were using them. It's so cool how you like the Romans, by the way, and they were really, and you love essential oils too, and how it was just so prominent in their culture.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say that the essential oils really tackles the somatic approach. So the somatic approach means activating your five senses, and so of course, the
Mhm.
essential oil would be activating the sense of smell, and then we can
Yeah.
even do to like begin to unwind the nervous system, touch, positive touch,
Oh, we didn't even talk about massage therapy. Duh.
yeah, and even like energy healing as well. Just different things to stimulate positivity in the body, basically, but
Mhm.
5D, five senses perspective. And
Mhm.
I did say I was going to talk about signs that you may have a dysregulated nervous system.
Mhm.
I don't know. So anyways, yeah, so signs you should probably, check out your nervous system, I would say would be that your mother. So like if there's anything, interesting with her, you know, anxious with her, then I would say that that's a very good place to start. If you've had any ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and other unfortunate, situations in your life, you should probably um, work with the nervous system, even things like PTSD, like going to war, car accidents, any types of traumas that you may have. And it doesn't really matter how insignificant you may think it to be, because I think there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. And I really truly,
Mhm.
even though we may not know it per se, that, um, whoa, my God, my laptop just completely turned off. It never did that before.
Oh.
Anyways, um, there's a book called The Body Keeps Score, and I just really believe that our nervous system knows and it can like attest to things that we've been through. So just understanding how delicate it is. But yeah,
Mhm.
any traumatic experiences, your mother, aces, things of that nature. But I think really just living in this world, the food we eat, the things that is on media, like if you really want to live
Yeah.
a life, you just really have to like take the time to do some work with your nervous system, even if it's not something super intense, not as a result of something previous, but just simply because we live in this world that I feel isn't to promote the best in ourselves at times.
Mhm.
Especially the day-to-day life, like really hustle, stress. Like I was reading something and it was like, you'll be good for this if you can tolerate high stress. And I'm like, what person can tolerate high stress? And I think a really big example of this would be a show I love, but I love to hate, called Dance Moms.
Oh.
And like literally, those children were screamed at the entire time. And just like knowing how dysregulating that is for anyone to be screamed at, but
That's
especially
so
children.
disrupting. Like, oh
Yeah,
man.
and just things like
But
that. So, like, even living in
damn if
certain
they're not good dancers.
yeah, they're really okay. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, like, I don't wanna, like, seem snobby, but I love, like, strict ballet, and so compared to people who do, like, ballet, they're good, but, like, ballet is just, like, some of the technique and artistry I see is just
The
amazing, like, it
discipline.
gives me chills, like, and I'm someone that is pretty I'm pretty stoic, I guess. And so for me to like get that reaction was like, but I did cry watching one of their dances, one of the girls' dances.
Okay.
So they do have that pull on me. And again, I'm very, very stoic. So it's not something I'm not easily roused in that way. But I did cry. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But yeah, they're just that whole experience was I know it's just so dysregulating for them. So like I can really like, feel for them, even though they have really positive opportunities now in their lives. It just was not a way to raise children, to be
Mm-mm.
around stuff. So
No.
yeah, I think everyone needs to regulate their nervous systems, but I think especially if you've experienced certain things in your life, you definitely should do work around it. And yeah, and I just whatever task you're doing, I would say specifically addressing the nervous system again with the intention is going to be very, very
Mhm.
powerful. And yeah.
I agree. I also think that possibly we should do a second part to this because I totally forgot about massage therapy.
Yeah, and
So,
things like that, and acupuncture, and even I don't know if you still know something like it's called craniology and
mm,
myofascial massage and things like that. Um, so yeah, it's
interesting.
a lot of
I
things,
know
but
that like craniosacral. I know that like does almost
Oh,
like
and cupping.
miracles for the body. Huh?
Ooh, and cupping.
Oh yeah, I do cupping. I know how to do it.
I need to come to Cali and get a cupping session from you. Yeah, I really want to do cupping. I really want to try it one day because it seems to be very, very, I just think reset in my head, like resetting something in your
hmm
body.
It's nice. It's really good. Like I enjoy doing it. That and gua sha I really like to do
Mm.
because that like yeah. I like that's fun. Those two things are really fun for me.
Literally
And
anything you do can positively stimulate the nervous system, honestly. I mean, if you really
yeah,
think about
because I think what it is mostly is
it.
the importance of like circulating your blood. Because if you're stagnant or stationary for long periods of time, whether you're working or if you're just home, like it's a good idea to like start moving, like move your body, like stretch, get the blood flow going, because like our blood gets old. Like our body cycles out our old blood and makes new. So it's like as long as we're doing things that like help that process, breath work, stretching, exercising, eating right, drinking water. Huh?
I say weights. Love weights.
Yeah, oh,
Oh,
you and your weights, I
definitely,
know.
I'm just like, it's so regulating for me. I can like it's just so cool when you can begin to feel like the blood flow in certain areas. I'm like, damn, like feeling it in your calves in particular just feels so good. It
Oh my
does. It
god.
really does. I promise you. Go do some squats and then you're like, oh, like your legs will be lit up, but like you can feel it and it's like, I don't know, it's like you can just feel the blood like rushing to the areas. And it just feels like really, really good.
It feels like you're alive.
Yes.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, I know. I haven't worked out in a while and I need to. I've been
Mhm.
consistent with
I'll
my
whip you in shape.
stretches.
I'll whip you
Huh?
in shape. I'll give you a program to
Oh my
follow.
god, I know. No, seriously? Okay. I go there for you to train me and you come here for massages. We'll work it out.
Mm.
But yeah, I think perhaps maybe doing a second part to this and like focusing on massage and like aromatherapy could be cool. Or just like doing massage and aromatherapy, just maybe as like two separate topics. We'll figure it out.
Mm.
Um, but
Yeah, this is a very good topic, I think, because I think people are really beginning to understand, and then there are still people who don't really know what nervous system regulation is and like how just direly important it is for us to, I mean, don't put too much stress on the nervous system to regulate itself. But it's just a very important, part of the body because I feel that, there's the energetic work which does positively influence it. But then again, there's addressing it directly, which I think
mhm,
makes all the difference in how we can experience this part of ourselves. So yeah, we can
mhm,
definitely do um, more physical things we can do and like the massage and the aromatherapy as well. And I don't know if you want me to say this, but I know you have your own special blend of things too. And I'm just like, why isn't this girl promoting this? Why isn't she selling it? You use like you said one oil. I'm like, what the heck oil is that? I don't know. And I
oh,
want to know what
Balsam Copaiba. You
yeah,
can't make
is
your
that
face every
lavender
time.
oil or something? I'm like, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like homeland oil.
It's a it's a wood oil. Uh,
Oh.
so it's like a little bit more earthy. So kind of like cedarwood or like a frankincense. Even though frankincense is a resin, but it still has that like earthy component to it, earthy qualities. Um, but Copaiba gives the body similar like effects, yeah, effects of like CBD
Oh.
without taking like CBD. So topically wise, it does very similar. I think it's because the receptors in that particular oil are very similar to the cannabinoid receptors that are in cannabis and in CBD. So when we use it topically, it bonds with us on like a molecular level, and goes into those cannabinoid. How do you say it? Cannabinoid receptors. That's the word, but like there's like a middle part that I'm missing. But yeah, we like with those particular receptors in our body. So it gives you similar effects to CBD without taking CBD. So yeah.
We'll definitely have to go more in depth, but I think that will be the end of today's podcast if you're good with leaving it there.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I've loved today's topic and I've learned so much. Again, did not know that chamomile was an oil.
You can honestly distill, like you can get like the plant essence from almost anything, woods, like trees, like the like anything. Yeah, it's great.
That has been today's podcast. So I've loved talking about this topic, and we will continue it next week. So my name is Gina.
And I'm Anna.
And I want to thank everyone so much for listening to today's podcast. And I know we will see you guys again next week. So yeah, namaste.
Bye.